This is what it's really used for. It's not for spraying and splattering all over the walls like these guys are doing with these kits. Tips and tricks. Sometimes you can run the door down partial ways, and then you can, the advantage to not doing the middles is I don't know exactly what all she's going to be doing here for products, but I'm not liking the look of this. Put something on it that's going to protect it, ignition. We can have a discussion, another video all about that, but don't just Hello, everybody. It's Mike with Spray Jones and ThinkSprayFoam.com. Today, we're taking a look at April Wilkerson's spray foam experience where she got her new shop down in Texas, I'm assuming, sprayed. If you're new to this channel, my name is Mike. I'm the owner of Spray Jones, which is a spray foam contracting firm that I've been doing for 20 years in Canada. We do spray foam installation, and for the last 25 years, I've been in the spray business. I create content online for spray foam people so you can learn what is good, bad, and otherwise. And we'll take a look today and do a reaction video on how things are going with April's job. I've never seen this before. My reaction and what's going on and you watching it are all going to be at the same time. So here we go.
I'm working with a company called Texas Insulating, and it's pretty impressive how they show up in a truck with everything needed.
Wow.
Next, the crew started sealing off all of the small openings created by the corrugation in the metal panel.
Yep,
you can see how much sunlight comes through in little places.
Hey, while you're watching this video here on getting the shop sprayed, I want you to do something for me. Go into the description box and click on ThinkSprayFoam.com. Join the conversation in my private online community where we have discussions about foam, coatings, spray foam, primers. This is where adults go to have professional dialogue without the trolls. It's for spray foam people. It's for anybody downstream receiving the product, inspecting it. That's why you should be in there. If you're watching this video, you'll get something out of it as well, and it helps support my work in these content creations. Thank you.
The main point of spray foam is to create an air seal and an air barrier to
if you can see daylight coming out of the metal buildings, you get a flashing on it or do a combination of both. Can foam to stop the foam from shooting out, but you also should probably have a flashing piece to close it up, because you will see the foam squishing through. If you can see daylight coming through, the foam's going to squish through, so it'll have to be shaved off. So you got to watch that. So I do both with the homeowners, the building owners, is say, what are you going to do to trim this out? How's it going to look from the outside? But then how are we going to deal with it from the inside? But can foam is by far the best way. Low pressure. This is what it's really used for. It's not for spraying and splattering all over the walls like these guys are doing with these kits. That's another subject. So this is a good start.
Air from moving in and out of the space. With that, any opening will defeat that seal and reduce the efficiency. The crew will come through with a large gun to get the walls and ceiling, but first they use a can of foam to hit the small tight areas. Just like with spraying paint, there will be overspray. So next is to mask off and protect anything you don't want covered in foam, because it is difficult to get off once it's on. Big rolls of plastic are laid out to cover the entire floor. When the guy starts spraying, the air from the tool will blow up the edges of the plastic. So a guy went around the entire perimeter and used some spray adhesive and little stretches to temporarily hold the edges of the plastic to the floor. And I thought that was pretty brilliant, and it worked well. They still used a few pieces of tape, but I stored that one away for future use. Tape is also used to cover the face of every electrical outlet. If you're wanting to keep these sides cleaner, then you can wrap the tape all the way around. However, I was only concerned with the face. The same step was used on the ceiling outlets. Tape can also be used for larger things, such as the electrical panel door. You just have to layer it up. Then for larger areas like beams, the bay doors, and even the openings, large sheets of plastic are used. With the openings being closed off, the crew placed plastic around fans to keep air moving on the inside by bringing in air from the outside. By the end of prep, the space looked like this. It might look like a lot, but an efficient crew like this gets in and out real quick. This step only took a little over an hour. I would have probably
tips and tricks. Sometimes you can run the door down partial ways, and then you can poly the rest of it. You can poly the top, but you're not having to leave the entire opening up. You can use the door to be your backstop for the poly blowing out. There's a way of, sometimes you can stop it midway or use a vice grip or a bolt or something in the tracking to pin it midway up.
Spray foam is great, but anybody around while it's being applied needs to be in full PPE with a proper respirator. Of course, you don't want to get this stuff in your lungs, but you also don't want it in your eyes, your hair, or on your clothes.
That is a real working man's rig. Like 2 proportioners sitting in there, old school Gusmer, and then a Graco in there, but it's just wide open in there.
The crew wears a full body suit and uses tape around the openings to close them off. Then they step inside and the magic begins. Well, I think it's magic. I love watching spray foam expand and the progression on how quickly a space like this can get covered. It's always cool to watch pros do any job. I've seen spray foam before, but never on corrugated metal.
Okay, so they're picture framing out and they're not doing this, this flash coat, but I am noticing something with their technique. They're going into the low spots. And rather than going up and down and following the profile, they're doing a strip into the V groove, using the foam to fill that up, be like a body filler, a blocking filler, and then they're going to go over it. So they're going to get a much more smoother finish. It's not wrong, and it's not absolutely necessary. I've had a lot of people that have followed the profile, and you get your 2 inches down, you get your 2 inches back up, and then you've got it in. So it depends on how you want it to look.
The technique here was fun to watch. The sprayer went through and first hit all of the low spots. Then after that expanded to its full height, they would fill in between so the entire wall would be flat.
Yeah.
For a space my size, 2 sprayers were able to knock out the job in just a few hours.
Okay, so looking at it here, he's got the foam behind the girts. He's rolled it up. The flange is embedded in foam. That's what we would do. So the spray foam's gone behind it. So you came from above, you're going to come from underneath, and you're going to embed the flange that everything's nailed. The advantage to not doing the middles is you can just get a very nice even profile of the foam following the panel. Whereas this, you're going to be a little bit more at a disadvantage to get really good looks. This is where all the time and expertise needs to come into. The corners and the edges and all the extra framing and blockouts and around the doors and around where some electrical panel is going to be. That's where all the time is. Nobody's too concerned about the wide open middles, but they are concerned about transitions. And that's where you're going to mess up. Extra material goes into those spots. So, you got to account for it in your bid and put some extra time into it. But it can be where can you get it? Can you actually get the foam in? Did it get all the way to the back? You got to verify it and work it up sequentially, not all at once.
6 per inch, whereas open has 3.5.
Yeah, okay, so here's my example. All right, so I'm not criticizing this guy at all. It's a different technique, that's all. So it's worth talking about. Do we need to go in and spray the vertical strips? What it's going to do is it's going to leave a lumpy bumpy strip every whatever the spacing is, every 12 inches or 13 inches or whatever the panel corrugation is. And then you're trying to fill in between. Or you're just going to picture frame out at your top and your bottom, and then you're just going to go up and down, and you're going to have the spray foam follow the profile of the panel. I like following the profile of the panel. It gives a really nice, even and consistent look. And the spray foam is gone. It's gone 2 inches down, 2 inches up. Like if you've got your speed and your reaction time right, it's not that it's super thin here and thick there. It's not like it's only landing on the high spots.
Per inch. So just about double the R value for the same amount of space. I went with closed here because closed actually strengthens the structure by up to 300%.
Full face fresh
it's
air.
great for structures in any high winds like hurricane or tornadoes. In fact, some states will even give you an insurance credit if you go with closed. So
I just
be
think
sure to
that's
check that one out.
nonsense.
Apparently,
Looking
open
good.
has better sounding
with
qualities. It's harder for sound to pass through it, but I'm told that it's not a big enough difference to really matter. However, a big difference between the two types is open cell will absorb water. It's like a sponge. So you never want to use it in situations
they're
that
trying to get into the corner. They're standing there. They're helping each other. Hey, that's good. That's good teamwork.
Approved by
Pull it
FEMA.
back.
In fact,
restrain
in
it.
colder
Make sure you got
climates
the foam into the corners and the edges.
such as Denver or Colorado, after spraying 1.5 inches of closed cell spray foam, it becomes a vapor barrier that meets code as a Class 2. The guys here are spraying 2 inches of closed cell. It's interesting because when I went with the open cell on my stick frame, I did 5.5 inches. But with closed cell, after 2 inches, you actually get diminishing return. So it's not worth going thicker. Now let's get into the main reason on why I went with spray foam insulation over any other type. Yes, it is more expensive, but when comparing all the information and benefits, there is simply no competition. Most people understand R value, so that's what they use for the main buying decision. My building has an R13 value, and some would look at fiberglass fat and say it also has an R13, so the cost difference then decides which one they go with. But something important to consider is air leakage. No other product other than spray foam can create a 100% sealed envelope, a bubble.
Yeah, see, when you get that flange, people ask me all the time about wrapping the purlins. I don't believe they need to be wrapped. They can add as much as 40% into the area. If you are looking to surface mount your interior finishings to the inside of the purlin, I don't see why there's any reason why. Look at how much foam he has built on the one side, and then you do that on the other side. The entire flange and all the connecting supports of the purlin are embedded in closed cell foam. Wrapping it isn't necessary at that point.
Corner-to-corner coverage to stop
air
from moving in and
which
out.
you can do with a nice 45-degree angle.
It is incredibly fascinating once you get into the
here, okay? See all of these flutes that go through? If you come in on a nice 45-degree angle, the foam with the velocity and the pressure will push right into those flutes. No, it's not going to push the panel off. It's going to take the path of least resistance, and then you can build a nice wedge up. So you got foam back and behind there, and over top of the flange. Over here in the top right-hand corner, you can see a screw sticking through. 2 inches of foam is going to fully embed that screw. That flange is going to be embedded, and the thermal conduction through the web of the actual purlin is minuscule. We've done this in Canada. We have not had a condensation problem with it.
Well, I think it's fascinating. If you take a 2,000 square foot attic as an example, with any insulation type, if you have just a 1% void, maybe the door isn't insulated, that 1% loss of R value will decrease thermal resistance by 27%. If you go up to 5% of a void, you're looking at 60% decrease. That means if the product isn't installed correctly or isn't capable of covering 95% of the space to stop air movement, then you'll be wasting a ton of money, but thinking you have great insulation. So yes, spray foam is more expensive, but it's capable of preventing air leakage like no other product on the market can. And man, does it make such a huge difference. It also adds quite a bit of weight. Right now it's summer in Texas, so it's interesting to start the day off feeling like you're in a hot box, but then ending it feeling like you're in the shade. Now, in most cases, the spray foam gets covered with walls. However, since this is going to be a warehouse for inventory, I didn't want to spend the money to cover it up. So instead, I decided to paint the spray foam. Know that the white will yellow over time when exposed to UV. And I know the most obvious choice for making the space look big and reflect light is white, but I didn't want to mess with masking off all of the beams and
I don't know exactly what all she's going to be doing here for products, but I'm not liking the look of this. Thermal barriers are in buildings for a reason. There should be some sort of ignition barrier, flame spread. This is where I have very open and complete conversations with my client. What are we doing in the space? Welding, using insurance, all of these things, building code, and your health and safety. You should be doing something just a lot more than just
girders of the building. So instead, I color matched the steel and went with maroon. I imagine tons of you will give me kickback on going with the tart color for the space, but please just remember, it is my space.
Before we get into the rest of the video, I want you to do something for me. Click on the description and go to thinksprayfoam.com. This is a private online community for spray foam where if you're installing it, building it, using it, specifying it, receiving it, anything downstream that you're using spray foam for, we want you to join the community, have adult conversations without all the trolls and all the naysayers, where we can talk shop, talk foam, talk what's going on, make you better, save you money. That's what this community is all about. We'd love to see you in there, and you help support my work on videos like this.
This is a lot of area to cover, and yes, I do have an HVLP, but for a job this size, it would still be such a burden to paint. So instead, I brought out my airless. This is the Wagner Control Pro 170. If you don't know, the big difference between an HVLP and an airless is an HVLP has a pot of paint connected to the gun you're spraying, whereas an airless has a sucker upper.
Sucker upper.
That's a technical term. that goes right into a gallon or 5-gallon container of paint. This reduces how often you have to stop and refill your source. Then the unit itself regulates paint movement through a hose that feeds your gun as you paint. The Control Pro applies a consistent, high-quality finish on large home improvement projects, such as these walls.
I mean, she's probably going to get up on a scaffold and everything like that. But this thin one, it should be fire retardant of some sort. Please, like, put something on it that's going to protect it. Ignition. We can have a discussion, another video all about that. But don't just paint it. Like, talk your client out of this. Don't just get colorant on it. Get something that's going to, if fire breaks out inside, it's going to delay ignition, slow down flame spread. There's a lot of really good coatings that will do it. Where we are, code is first 8 feet has to be hard surface. No ands, ifs, or buts. You got a shop, they won't even allow DC 315. Fireproofing. They want a hard surface for the first 8 feet. And then after that, you can switch to fire retardants.
Or even painting a house. And by investing in one, I'm dramatically saving on what a painting contractor would charge me to paint the same space.
But again,
by the way, to give you a time perspective, it took me just over an hour to paint all the walls in here. Crazy. I've used a few airless sprayers and love the control this Wagner one gives you. It also is incredibly lightweight, so moving it around is not a problem at all.
That thing really would last 2 years, maybe. If you were using it professionally, it would break. I mean, it's for the DIY.
The pickup tube has a filter on it to keep any contaminants out of the sprayer, and it's very easy to clean once you're finished. The Pro Control 170 is available online and in stores at Lowe's if you're interested.
And hit that.
Okay, folks, and I think that's it for this major step. I know spray foam is expensive, but just remember that what you invest once into spray foam insulation, you will save on heating and cooling for the rest of the life that you're using that building.
April did the right thing. She's got the money. Here's an influencer that's got the money. She's not trying to DIY
next up on
it
the
herself.
Shop series, I'm going to be, what am I doing next? Oh, building cabinets. I'm going to be building some simple but durable, strong cabinets. So stay tuned if you're interested.
Okay, I think she's done here with the spray foam. Okay, so there we have it. I mean, April got closed cell 2-pound foam installed on her project. Great. I'm glad she did. Should add a fire retardant on it, I think, or at least had a conversation about something more than just paint. Probably some hard surfaces would be good too. You're going to be putting shelves and workbenches and doing projects. You don't want to be throwing damage at the shop. So how you handle the interior space and the use of it is important. Guys that are spraying foam, people that are spraying foam, receiving foam, have these open and frank conversations with your spray people, because the foam should be protected and you don't want to get into a situation where it flashes over and spontaneously ignites due to the smoke buildup and stuff like that. So there are coatings and things out there that can do it and do a good job, not just regular paint, and explain to your clients why. So there we go. That's that discussion. So thanks for checking it out. We've got other reaction videos that you should be checking out about DIY foams and other spray jobs. Click on the link in the description and you'll see those there.